We go in Austria for the fourth sprint race of the season. Remember, we are having just one FP1 in this session. And funny enough, let me give you some few lowdowns. Pierre Gasly, like I said in one of my podcasts, I told you Pierre Gasly will resign for Alpine. Alpine are going to sign him. That's why whatever is happening is happening. Ocon has already sold himself out with all the games and the tactics he's playing, and I wish him well. I thought he would be going to Sauber. Now Sauber is looking at Carlos Sainz. Maybe he will be going to Haas, but we don't know yet. But Pierre Gasly has signed up again an extension which goes beyond 2026 for Alpine team, which is a good deal for him moving on forward. And there's a possibility that Daniel Ricciardo might be leaving the RB at the end of the season, possibly before the end of the season, because they're not really feeling Daniel Ricciardo in that team, and they might bring in Liam Lawson from what we are looking at. But Daniel Ricciardo, well, I don't know. I don't know for you. RB brought some few upgrades to this track, while McLaren also brought the front wing and front suspension. Those are their major upgrades, and that shows us in the FP1 the reason why McLaren had Flovis during the FP1. Now to the main thing. The Mercedes look poised on pace. There are some few tenths in qualifying simulation faster, and in race simulation on the hard tires they look faster. They didn't run the soft tires. Meanwhile, the hard tires to the soft tires should be like about 9 tenths, but the Mercedes on hard tires still look about 5 tenths away from Verstappen on soft tires. The Mercedes looks pretty fast. In the qualifying for sprint this afternoon, we would know who is really on top of their game, but the Mercedes looks pretty fast. But overall, Max Verstappen led the FP1 session with Piastri second and Charles Leclerc third. The Ferrari looks off pace a little, but the Mercedes are looking the fastest presently from what I'm looking at. Carlos Sainz fourth, Lewis Hamilton fifth, Esteban Ocon sixth, Lance Stroll seventh, George Russell eighth, Yuki Tsunoda 9th, and Fernando Alonso 10th. Yuki Tsunoda is still looking faster than Daniel Ricciardo that comes in 16th. Daniel Ricciardo complained about his chassis and it was changed, and still immediately after the change there was a little change in him, but now there is no change in him, and he's always saying he wants to fight till the end, but the fire is not burning in him. It's not burning at all. We can't see the fire. The Red Bull called a little stop to the practice through Max Verstappen when he had an engine issue. I even thought it was going to be another engine, but it was a quick setup. But I think Red Bull should be looking at what they need to do to keep that engine not changed this weekend, because if they are not doing anything, they might be changing that engine this weekend, and that might be a worse scenario for them, because they change that engine again, they are going on penalties, which means Red Bull had not been using their utmost power or full power since 2022 on their engine. Now that they start using it because the teams have bumped up, now they're having a lot of issues. So Red Bull need to watch out. And I'm sure one of the issues Perez is having is maybe he's not using the utmost power of his engine. That's why he's a little bit slower than his teammate, and he's showing. But in qualifying, we would see how the paces of these teams will turn out. I think the qualifying will be very interesting. That is where we will see how much of the power that these teams are really hiding. But up until then, I can tell you, this weekend is going to be interesting. Seeing the Mercedes right out there chasing the pack on pace, with McLaren having the speed. McLaren looks like the best car presently in F1, but the Red Bull are still the benchmark. Up until sprint qualifying. Let's see what happens then. Yeah. So the sprint qualifying, very, very interesting qualifying we have on our hands, because there are lots of struggles. The Mercedes came out and showed promising pace in FP1, but in sprint qualifying, Lewis Hamilton was struggling all through. With tire warm-up, he was struggling all through. He could not really find the right tire balance and the right car balance, get the car in position. And next Q1, we have Daniel Ricciardo, Nico Hülkenberg, Valtteri Bottas, Alex Albon, Zhou Guanyu out, with Logan Sargent out-qualifying his teammate. That is wonderful. But we have Verstappen, Russell and Sainz in top 3. That looks promising and wonderful. What is wrong with the 7 world-time champion? He's losing it, and this will cause a lot of people speculating a lot of things for Mercedes again. But when I say never, never, never. But in next Q2, we have Magnussen, Stroll, Alonso, Tsunoda and Logan Sargent out in that order from 11 to 15, making it a blockbuster qualifying for the SQ3. Starting the SQ3, we had Charles Leclerc almost out at the beginning of the SQ3, but he came back. But coming back for him was already late. There was no way he could get in line to be able to qualify in a wonderful position as against tomorrow, and that could be too late. That would be costly for him, because if he cannot get himself out, he's done and dusted. Russell outpacing his teammate Lewis Hamilton by 2 tenths, with Max Verstappen Verstappen outpacing everybody by the same 2/10 to qualify on pole for the sprint qualifying, because you know the chairman will always wait for every other person to run before he tells them he is always the chairman. The Red Bull are that pace all through, and they've been hiding it, and they're telling everybody we are the benchmark. You always have to know that. But qualifying alongside him, his friend Lando Norris to set another blockbuster 1 and 2 for both of them, and Oscar Piastri with those new updates working on the McLaren shining to qualify 3rd, George Russell 4th, Carlos Sainz 5th, Lewis Hamilton 6th, Sergio Perez, Ocon, Gasly, and Charles Leclerc occupy the last position. It's going to be a very, very interesting sprint race tomorrow to set us into the qualifying proper, and we see how we are going to enjoy the qualifying tomorrow. Up until tomorrow for the sprint race and the qualifying. Catch you guys. Bye. Cheers.